Good Wednesday evening to you. More sports and Les-Levine. Dave Bacon filling in for Les-Levine. Joined by the D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff. And we will talk some Browns, but we're going to begin tonight with college football. How about those Buckeyes, to turn a phrase a little bit?
Yeah, number one in the college football playoff initial ranking.
Yep.
So congrats to the Buckeyes. We know Ryan Day and the crew would say we haven't won anything, but yeah, it's good to see. I mean, you'd rather be first in that ranking than fourth.
Well, you see, and you know what, at the end of the day, you're there as long as you take care of business, you don't fall out of it. But Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, Penn State. Now, the interesting thing, LSU, number 2, an Ohio kid at quarterback, Joe Burrow. Penn State at number 4, an Ohio kid, Sean Clifford from Xavier, at quarterback. And, of course, Burrow was at Ohio State and transferred out when Haskins took away the thing. And it's just really interesting. As always, you know, kind of loaded up with some SEC teams. Interesting, Clemson. What's your read on Clemson? Not in that initial 4.
Yeah, well, first of all, we know that LSU and Alabama are playing this weekend. I would expect the winner of that game to become number 1 in the following CFP poll. It won't be Ohio State's fault that they get knocked down. It's just that 2 and 3 playing each other, the winner of that you would expect to be number 1, while Ohio State has essentially a bye against Maryland. But Clemson is in a decent spot. I think I liked what the committee did to basically put everybody on notice that we are going to grade your victories as well as any potential losses, and we're going to penalize you for a bad victory, which Clemson had against North Carolina. Almost lost the game, but still, Clemson's in a really good spot because they have a favorable schedule. It looks like they're going to win out. They're playing much better than they were at the time they met North Carolina and escaped that night or that afternoon. So I think Clemson is going to ultimately be one of the top 4. But to have them outside the 4, I like the message that it sends.
Do you like the reaction? Are you surprised by the reaction Dabo Swinney had? You know, basically didn't like it, which I wouldn't expect him to like it, but, you know, the whole disrespected, that kind of thing. Is that a message to his team?
I mean, you know Dabo will use that. I mean, he's one of those coaches that will use the slightest of slights to motivate his crew. You'd probably already say, hey, you know what, they think we're number 5. Oh, we'll show them. Oh, that's a terrible Dabo. But, yeah, the Clemson's going to be fine because you look at what's in front of them. Wake Forest might give them a game for a half. But as I said, they're playing much. I think I know it's trite to say, the wake-up call. I think it was a wake-up call, the Carolina game, and Clemson has looked much more like the defending national champs are supposed to look in the past few weeks. So I think Clemson ultimately is one of the final 4.
Are you surprised at all that Penn State is as high as they are at number 4?
I was, or I am, and, you know, but that can be taken care of soon enough when Ohio State plays Penn State, and it's in Columbus this time, and I expect Ohio State to win the game, and if that's the case, then Penn State is obviously going to fall out of it. But I guess you credit James Franklin and whatnot. I mean, it was a year that I don't know how many people expected him to be a national contender. So hats off to him, but I don't think it's going to last.
And it's kind of interesting, two Big Ten teams in the top 4, in the initial top 4. Again, it changes quite a bit, but you know, all of you heard is, you know, the Big Ten isn't quite where the SEC is, where the ACC is, and a lot of that's because it's top heavy with Alabama, Clemson, and those kind of things.
Yeah, and it is good. I mean, to have the conference that Ohio State's in, because I'm looking at everything through the Ohio State lens. It's good to have that conference represented. And you don't just have Ohio State and Penn State. In the top 20, I believe it's 6 because you have Wisconsin at 13, Michigan 14, and then Minnesota 17, Iowa 18, I believe it is.
It's something like that.
It's interesting how Penn State is going to P.J. Fleck and facing him this weekend as a 7-point favorite. Fleck gets the monster extension to keep him in Minnesota. The Gophers are undefeated. A lot of people will say, well, it's a softer undefeated, but still they're undefeated. And we'll see what happens with Penn State and Minnesota. I think it'll be a tough game because Minnesota's no joke. I mean, I'm not just saying it because they're undefeated. I expect Penn State to prevail, but it is good to have a conference that is strong, because then at the end, when the committee's looking at potential tiebreakers and saying, all right, what's a separator, strength of conference is a factor.
Without question. And, Ryan Day talked to the media about the Buckeyes earning that #1 spot. And it's nice, but the Buckeyes aren't getting carried away with it at all.
I think it's for the fans. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to us, because if we lose this weekend, we're not going to be in the top 4, that's for sure. So what matters is where we're at once we're done with the season, the regular season. So none of that really matters to us.
Aren't you a little curious?
Not really. Because again, it doesn't matter if we don't continue to win, then what matters is the record at the end of the season and where you rank at the end. So that does not matter to us.
Right front, Don? 8 games into the season, Coach, what's your biggest concern right now? I mean, obviously, you got 4 games to go in the regular season, but what do you guard against them?
Well, I think that at this time of the season, you're into November, and crazy things can happen. So we have to continue to stay focused on the things that have got us at this point, and the discipline, the toughness, taking care of the football, tackling, because kids are impressionable in nowadays, and everybody wants instant gratification. And at this point of the year, only thing that works is continuing to go back to the things that have worked. And we just can't get bored with that. We have to continue to embrace that, understand how important it is, and that's a huge part of being tough, is being disciplined enough to do the same things week in and week out and not stray from that, or stray from that, and start to fray as a team. So that's the focus, and that's the coaches and the leaders and everybody involved in the program to make sure we stay locked in on that.
I was taking notes. Discipline, toughness, taking care of the football, and focus. Those are some things we need here with our NFL team.
With the other
Browns?
professional football team in Northeast Ohio, because we've adopted Ohio State as our 4th professional franchise. I like what Ryan Day's saying there, but again, as we mentioned with Clemson, I think the committee is putting everybody on notice that it's not just losses that could hurt you. It is not good victories, or if you struggle against a bad team, you are going to be punished for it. Doesn't mean that you have to blow out a bad team 62-0. You have to run up the score. You'll know by the end of the game whether you struggled against that team or whether you won convincingly and then took your feet off the gas and had third stringers in. People will know that, but you can't have substandard competition giving you a game into the 4th quarter.
It's they refer to it as the eye test. So the eye test is alive and well, at least with this college football playoff committee. I would agree. That's a very good thing, I would think, without question. When you put things in computers and they spit them out, a lot of times it just doesn't work out. It's a mathematic formula. It doesn't truly tell you what a football team is.
Right. I hear you.
What is your biggest concern for the Buckeyes? I really liked what Ryan Day just said, because he's trying to get them to focus on, the little things, because the last couple of years they've had slip-ups that have cost them.
Yeah, I don't want to sound cocky or anything, but the way Day's got this thing going, it's like, you think, what is the big concern? I wanted to say, well, what's it going to be like when a team is threatening them in the 4th quarter? And you think about Michigan State was giving them a game for a while, and they responded fine to that. Wisconsin had some stuff working early. They responded fine to that. The offense is terrific. The defense with Chase Young is I would say complacency and reading your own press clippings is probably what would make me the most nervous. But with Day, as you heard him say, he's probably not going to allow that to happen. And I did want to say this too, Dave. I find it fascinating that, the Buckeyes have not one, not two, but three legitimate Heisman Trophy candidates. When was the last time we could ever say that? Even about this program, as great as it is, to have three in Fields, Dobbins, and Young, and then a fourth who's the front runner, being a former Ohio State quarterback in Joe Burrow. It's just a great day, a great time to be an Ohio football fan.
Well, the other thing that's concerning about that, though, is if you have three, you're going to split the vote.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Regionally and from people that see those games day in, day out, you know, you're going to split that vote three ways.
Sure. And I think those three guys probably don't care. They'll say they don't care. And maybe deep down, of course, they want to win the Heisman, but publicly they'll say, you know, whatever we need to do to win. And I think it's great that Young has burst into the conversation, you know, because for a defensive player to win it, it's so difficult to do. But he is such a force, such a freak of nature that you can't ignore him.
Want to tell you about the Ohio Lottery, our stat of the month. Did you know there are 238,000 winners on Ohio Scratch-Offs each and every day? With that amount of winning, stop by your local retailer and try your luck on any of the popular holiday-themed scratch-offs. The holiday-themed scratch-offs of the Ohio Lottery. How about that? Want to also tell you about Facebook. Facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content posted each and every day, including the Facebook question of the day, which we will get to in a little bit. D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff, is with us. We will return on the other side of the break, and we will start talking a little bit about the Browns as they are getting ready for the Buffalo Bills here at First Energy Stadium. Sunday at 1 o'clock. More Sports and Les-Levine will return after this timeout.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then, watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine. You see the number if you want to get involved. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine. D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff is our guest. And D-Man, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start with the Browns. Just your reaction to that. I said last night, I'll say it again, I was really disappointed with the defensive play. Brandon Allen making his first career start, taking his first ever NFL snap at 27. And I just don't think they got after him the way they needed to. I think they let him get a little comfortable.
Yeah, Dave, you know what? The offense has been scrutinized, and rightly so, the Browns' offense for its struggles and Baker and all this. But now the defense is springing leaks when it can't afford to spring leaks. And that was a game in Denver where you knew that the Browns' offense was having its issues. You needed the defense to say, all right, we got this. You know, we will make sure that we harass this youngster, this older youngster. We will make sure that his NFL debut in a game that mattered is a nightmare. And let's say hold the Broncos to no more than 10 points. And if you win 12-10, you win 12-10. But instead, the Broncos score 24 points. And
big plays.
Too many big plays. Allen too comfortable, way more comfortable than he should be. So it's indicative of a team that you can't just point to the offense and say the offense is the problem, because the defense has issues too. There's coaching issues. Unbelievably, Dave, the one area that we can honestly say has not let down the Browns is special teams.
Which everybody was concerned about with the two rookies at the beginning. How are they going to do it with two rookies?
Austin, the kicker, still perfect in field goal attempts. Gillen doing his thing as the punter. The units, the coverage units are pretty good. Yeah, there's penalties, and there shouldn't be. But by and large, the special teams for the Browns is not the problem. It's been the offense and the defense and the coaching.
The concerning thing about the defense, in addition to the big plays, it seems like every time the Browns get back in the game or give the lead, take the lead and turn it back over to the defense, they give up a drive. I mean, the Titans game, that long screenplay after they made it a game. The Seahawks game, after they take the lead, long drive, they go in and Seattle takes the lead right back. There's no complementary football going on with the Browns, and that's something that people aren't really talking about. It's a concern. It's almost like it's disjointed.
It's a great point, Dave, and I'm glad you used the term complementary football because it's real. Sometimes it's one of those intangibles that you can't really, you know it when you see it, but you can't really grasp onto it. But complementary football does exist, and units feed off each other on good teams. And unfortunately, with this team at 2-6, you say, when you watch a game like you did with the Broncos, losing teams do what losing teams do. They lose. And I know you say, well, what about Denver? Denver's a losing team, and they somehow won. Well, okay. I'm not saying losing teams can't win, but what you saw on Sunday from the Browns was a losing team doing what losing teams do. They lose.
Yeah, and it's 3-5 sounds a whole lot better, and everybody feels a whole lot better than 2-6. I mean, as silly as that sounds, and the flip side of it is they've got way too much talent on this team to be 2-6.
Yeah, and Dave, I wish I didn't have to react the way I do to that word, but it really does bother me to hear it. Not just because, not you saying it. No, I get it. But I hear it. I've heard it for months and months and months, and there comes a point where you say, okay, the Browns have talent, so does every other team. Other teams figure out ways to win games. I don't really care what paper says. I don't care what the back of the football cards say. I just want to see a collective effort that leads to a victory. Because you look around the league, Dave, and there are certain teams that have been beset by injuries and all sorts of craziness, but they still figure out ways to win games.
Yep.
The Indianapolis Colts as an example.
Yep.
Okay? Now you say, wow, the Colts were farther along than the Browns were at the start of the season. I don't care. The bottom line is the Colts lost Andrew Luck. They've had other guys hurt, other key guys, but they find ways to win for the most part and have an above 500 record at this point in the season. San Francisco 49ers. You say, what do you mean? The Niners are undefeated. Well, let's see. Last year, what did they win? 4 games? Going into this season, there was a lot of people who thought the Browns were going to be better than the 49ers.
Guess one of them.
When you look at what the 49ers have done, yeah, they're undefeated, but coaching matters. Scheme matters. Players buying in to the whole matters. You're seeing that with a team like the 49ers. The Houston Texans, they find ways to win. So there are teams around the league who are winning despite injuries, despite calamities, despite maybe suspensions or bad luck. You can't just say, well, the Browns are the only team that's being hit with bad luck or injuries.
Well, the other thing is the Browns finally get Kareem-Hunt back on the field. He sat out his 8 games as mandated by the suspension handed down by the NFL. And Freddie-Kitchens excited to have him back.
I think Kareem fits in our locker room very well from a standpoint of personally. Professionally, everybody knows what he can do, but Kareem's been a good person since he's been here, and I know it's important for him to continue to make strides in that area. Football will take care of itself.
Nick has been one of the most effective players in the entire NFL this year. How do you balance getting Kareem involved with not letting that cut into Nick's production or his opportunities?
I think Nick's about one thing only, is winning. Nick gives us a great opportunity to win. I think we're adding another chip to the puzzle to increase those chances too. I don't think either one of those two are very selfish at all. So whatever gives us the best chance to win.
The fact that you have had Kareem Hunt able to practice these 2 weeks, how much will that help him once you found the game comes like that? It's
helped us tremendously from the standpoint of feeling confident that he knows what to do and how to do it. And it's helped him from the standpoint of being in physical condition. It's a lot different than being in good shape and having endurance. The difference between having endurance and being in shape is being in shape, you can go out and run a bunch of wind sprints. Having endurance is what you need for football, and that's to play after play after play after play and never coming off the field. So he's building his endurance during the course of these last 2 weeks.
Well, the optimist in me says the Browns have another weapon on offense. The cynic in me says they haven't figured out how to use 2 wide receivers in Landry and Beckham. Now they got 2 running backs to muddle it up. Which one wins out?
You know what, Dave? I guess you can accuse me of drinking the Kool-Aid where this is concerned. I'm going to somehow, some way believe they figure this out. First of all, they're not going to play, I don't think, Hunt a lot in this game because, as Kitchens mentioned, there's a difference between being in shape and being in football shape, endurance-wise. But even if it's sub-packages or whatever, however they want to do it, it can't hurt to have Kareem Hunt. I'm looking at this, again, through the optimistic lens, despite the fact that they're 2-6. Imagine this week was trade deadline week, and the Browns just acquired Kareem Hunt in a trade, okay? That's how I choose to look at it. Now, I know there's all that baggage with Hunt, but I'm giving him a clean slate as a Brown. I'm saying, all right, all this stuff that has happened to him in the past is in the past. And it's as if the Browns acquired Kareem Hunt at the trade deadline, and look at the talent that he is. I'm assuming that he's going to keep his nose clean off the field, because if he does, his talent on the field is undeniable. Oh, yeah. And even if you run him on arrow routes or swing passes or screen passes or wheel routes, even if he's a decoy half the time, I think that he poses a big problem for defenses because they already have to worry about Chubb. Now you add Hunt. Wherever you line him up, he may not be lined up in the backfield conventionally, but it can only be good for the Browns.
I agree, but
but here comes the cynic. Yeah.
You've had trouble finding a way to get the ball to your playmakers, and you're adding another playmaker. And I'd play him in the same backfield with Chubb. I would, and motion him out and move him around. And then you've got, think about it: Chubb, Hunt, Beckham, and Landry. I'm sorry, you should be able to design an offense that moves all over the place. Yeah. And we're not seeing it.
That's right. That's right. And, the cynic can say and be accurate about it. Odell is like the number 120-something in red zone targets. It's inexcusable that you have a talent of Beckham's caliber and you don't target him. Having said that, I wish Beckham would just put on the same cleats as everybody else, not wear a watch, not worry about the visor, just go out and play not worry about how long your pant legs are. Go out and play the game and stop being, look at me, look at me, look at me. Because I know he says that he's a team guy and all he wants to do is win and he'll do anything he can for the win. But his actions show a different side of it. And it seems to me like it's always got to be, look at me within the context of the team when it shouldn't be that way. I wish he would just be a member of the Cleveland Browns and not have to be Odell-Beckham-Jr. is a member of the Cleveland Browns.
I, for the life of me, can't understand how they continually in the red zone throw towards the middle of the field. They don't seem to go to the corners of the end zone. And when you've got guys like Beckham and Landry, I want defenses to have to cover them with one or two guys, not with 4 or 5 in the middle of the field. That seems very elementary to me.
Yeah, Dave, and you think about the 4th down play in Denver, and there's Beckham lined up wide left, and he's against Harris, and he does this, the signal that, hey, I got my guy, I can beat my guy. And Mayfield drops back, and he looks to his left, and the moment he looks to Beckham and Harris, they're even. Beckham has not beaten Harris yet. But then instead of just saying, all right, I'm going to commit to the lob into the end zone and take my chances with my playmaker, I would say that Mayfield panicked a little bit and said, I'm going the safe route. So he goes back to the middle and tries to throw to Landry, and he's late. And the DBs break it up, and they blow that opportunity. So you wonder, is it lack of confidence for Mayfield that he just didn't trust himself to make that throw, didn't trust himself to throw OBJ open, or put the loft on it where Beckham can jump up and grab it, or what is going through Mayfield's mind in a case like that? But whatever the situation, it seems Mayfield is just kind of he's crossing himself up.
Yeah, he does not look like the guy that played so well at the back half of last season. Time for us to take a quick time out. Before we go, I want to tell you about Northeast Factory Direct. No gimmicks, no deceiving blowout sales, no typical retail nonsense. Just 3 bare bones warehouses that are huge, filled with the same nice stuff, found at a number of different stores with one big difference. Northeast Factory Direct has these items priced about half of regular retail. The bottom line, nobody is going to touch their everyday savings or quality. 3 locations, West 140th Street in Cleveland, in the old B&B Appliance, on Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid and Freeway Drive in Macedonia. You can also check out everything on northeastfactorydirect.com. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and now Sunday evenings. Monday through Wednesday, post time 6 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 6:40. Open early every day for simulcast action. Lady Luck's Clubhouse is open every Saturday with a buffet for $15.95. Call 330-467-4101 for reservations. Special pricing on premium nights, free admission and parking every day at Northfield Park. The D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff, and I will be back after a quick timeout. Dave Bacon filling in for Les-Levine here on More Sports and Les-Levine, exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at nick-chubb.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Oh, gosh. Playing Ohio Lottery Pick 3, I see. What are you going to do? A box bed, a split pairs, or a wheel? Well, old Picky Ricky here is a straight shooter.
Okay.
It razzes my berries when newbies think betting's hard. Straight bets are easy peasy. Just match 3 numbers in order and win the old-fashioned way. This, on the other hand, is not so simple. Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Jeez Louise. Play the Ohio Lottery Pick 3 today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine. The D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff, is our guest. Just before we went to break, we talked a little bit about Baker-Mayfield and some of the struggles that he's been having this year. Let's take a look graphically at this, and it's pretty striking. You look at his numbers from a season ago and roughly the same sample size as he didn't play most of the year a season ago, and you see completion percentage down, more interceptions than touchdowns, almost flipped from a year ago. He's sacked more. And the
red zone completion percentage is unreal.
Right. And again, my contention with that one is they're not doing them any favors in the red zone. Their red zone play calling has been just awful. I mean, some of it is execution.
Well,
you can't put it all on them. But D-Man, there's not guys open. I mean, and I said it last night, I'll say it again. Where's Rashad Higgins been? That's the guy that he could count on to be where he expected him to be and open most of the time a season ago. And I'm not a big Callaway fan. I'll say it again.
We still haven't gotten satisfactory answers on what's been going on with Hollywood. When I see Mayfield struggles in the red zone, yes, I think of coaching as a problem, but I also think it's a confidence issue. I think Baker Mayfield doesn't have the confidence, doesn't have the gunslinger bravado that he had last year, where he was feeling it and just zipping it and throwing the ball around the yard, Favre-like. Now you see a quarterback who's a little bit gun-shy, and the one thing you can't do in the red zone is double clutch. You can't say, uh-oh, maybe not, maybe I shouldn't. He who hesitates in the red zone is lost. And I think that's what's happening to Mayfield this year. It is more a confidence problem than it is a scheme coaching problem to me.
Well, I would say two things. One, the offensive line is he's not able to get comfortable and probably doesn't feel that they're. I think there was a comfort level with the offensive line a season ago where he knew where he could go to find space to buy time. I don't think that exists now because it's breaking down in different areas on different plays. And then I just don't think – I think you're right. I don't think he's comfortable with what they're asking him to do. I think they're asking him to do different things that don't play to his strengths.
Right, and even on a well-coached team, quarterbacks are going to go through, especially young ones, they're going to go through adjustment periods. So Baker Mayfield has his coming out party last year, and defensive coordinator's like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's really good, But then you get an off season to study the tape, to study what his tendencies are, the fact that he likes to leak out to the right. All of a sudden, defensive coordinators go, all right, we're going to stop him from leaking out to the right. We know he's a shorter quarterback. We're going to hem him in. We're going to force him to step up in the pocket instead of being able to, to get out the side doors. And these adjustments that get made are more easily implemented after having an off season to examine than they are week over week, as was the case last year when he took the world by storm. So now I think it's incumbent upon Mayfield to say, all right, now they've adjusted to me, now I have to adjust back. And I have to do some things differently to counter what they're doing, including some of the disguises, some of the zone blitzes, some of the mans that look like zone and zone that looks like man. He's got to figure out, all right, I have to make the adjustments now.
And I think he will. In fairness, I think he will figure it out. It's going to take a little bit. There's a reason quarterback is so tough to play. But he will, I do think he will eventually figure it out. Your thoughts?
I sure hope so, because I'm not.
You're not as sold on it.
Well, I'm not looking forward to Garrett Gilbert. No disrespect to him, but the Browns. They made Mayfield the #1 overall pick for a reason. Dorsey did. He's expected to be the franchise quarterback. I'm a little unsettled by the very pedestrian to bad numbers that Mayfield has put up. He's, by almost any measure, he ranks in the bottom 5 in quarterbacks in the NFL this year. But I still believe in his skills. I still believe in his, ability to play much better, and therefore, I hold out hope.
Well, you mentioned it, and Freddie-Kitchens obviously has been told about the stats, but he doesn't think they're really reflective of exactly the way Mayfield's playing.
Stats causes controversy or causes raising of the person per se, So you can't just look at stats and tell the whole story. I know that's a lot of times all anybody has to look at. I understand that and recognize that fact, but that doesn't tell the whole story. I said from the day one, no two teams are ever the same. We've got to continue. This group of guys have to continue to try to get better. Try to increase the level of execution and the consistency of execution. And when we do that, we will play better. There's no secret about that. You execute, you play good. You don't execute, you don't play good.
Baker's been so accurate throughout his career to be last in the NFL in completion percentage. That being said, what do you attribute that to?
There's a lot of factors that go into that, I don't think he's just wildly missing passes. So, I don't know. I don't really look at that. I just want him to get better today, just like I want him to get better this week, more than last week. I truly do not look at stats.
Okay.
Dave, first let me just say, I wish the human body could take the punishment of an NFL game 60 to 70 times a year, and the head wouldn't be mashed in if you could tell me the NFL would be concussion proof, there would be no concussions, I'd be ecstatic, because we could play a lot more games and have a lot less talk. Because you get tired of hearing this, and I'm sure Kitchens gets tired of answering the same questions, worded differently. But, Freddie, stats are an indicator of how a player is performing. But when I look at Mayfield, I agree with you. I don't look at just the stats. They're part of it, but I trust my eyes too. Mm-hmm. It's not just the numbers that show that Mayfield is struggling. When you watch him, you're not seeing a player, Dave, who is belying the numbers, who's playing better than his stats, right?
Nope.
So in that sense, Freddie, just because you dismiss the stats doesn't mean you have to dismiss your eyes. Your eyes can tell you, you know what? He's not playing well by that standard either.
Well, the other thing is if somebody's stats are that drastically different, one of the things I would think you do is you go back and you ask them, what are you asking him to do differently? What did you ask him to do last year? Because he probably has a whole lot more talent at the skill positions. Remember, he put up those numbers with not a good receiving core.
No.
Now he has a really good receiving core.
Well, I think a lot of what his success was tied to last year, besides his ability and Freddie-Kitchens' play calling, was play design. You know, it allowed not necessarily five-star receivers to succeed in the scheme. And now you're seeing when it looks like the play design isn't quite what it needs to be. I wonder what's going on behind the scenes with Kitchens and Monken. It appears to me, at least through 8 games, based on 2 and 6, based on how the offense has performed, that it was not a marriage that should have been made. No disrespect to either one of those guys. They're both great offensive minds, Kitchens and Monken. But it's entirely possible that Monken's offensive philosophy just doesn't jibe with Kitchens. And they just can't get their philosophies to mesh. And what you see as a result is an offense of fits and starts.
Yeah. Or round square in a square.
Doesn't mean
peg.
either one of them's a bad guy. Doesn't mean either one of them doesn't have a great offensive mind. It just means you have 2 different philosophies, or 2 philosophies that are far enough different that you can't get them to do this. They're constantly doing this.
You're penning a thing. It's the Frankenstein offense. The Browns' Frankenstein offense. Congratulations. Time for us to take a quick timeout. Before we go, we want to tell you about Tri-C, Cuyahoga Community College programs. Go to tri-c.edu. That's tri-c.edu, Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. The D-Man and I will be back after a quick timeout. You see the number if you want to get involved. More Sports and Les-Levine. Dave Bacon filling in for Les. And the D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff. We'll be back after this timeout.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
This day in sports history, November 6, 1995, Art Modell officially announces that the Browns are going to be moved to Baltimore, where they become the Ravens.
Yeah, and
remember it well.
Yeah, one of the untold stories there is Modell giving Belichick assurances that he would be the coach of the new Baltimore iteration. It was supposed to be the Baltimore Browns. But thankfully, Odell was stopped by various people from taking the name, the colors, and the history. But that means Modell winds up firing Belichick and Paul Brown. So pretty impressive duo that he booted.
There you go. Well, we've talked a little bit about Odell Beckham and just how the Browns haven't been really able to incorporate him into the offense. And when you look at what he has done in his career and what he has done in the 8 games at Cleveland, it becomes pretty telling. I mean, it's catches are down, Yards per game are down. Targets per game are down. Touchdowns per game are down. Big plays, if you had it on there, are down. So Odell Beckham's kind of he's a Ferrari. You got to get him out and ride him on the field, and Browns aren't doing that. He's staying in the garage way too much.
Dave, there's absolutely no excuse for Beckham ranking in the 120s for red zone targets. Yeah, he needs to be getting the ball in the scoring areas. And if it's not a lob to the, why don't you throw lobs to, as you say, the back pylon, so that the only thing that can happen is either your guy catches it or it's incomplete. You avoid the pick. You throw it high enough where only Beckham can jump up and get it if he can. It doesn't make sense to trade for Beckham and then not use him when you need him the most, which is in the scoring area.
And the other thing that doesn't make any sense, they seem to be trying to run these pick plays in the middle of the field, and the NFL has made a concerted effort to call offensive pass interference on pick plays. Yeah. So a big part of what you're trying to do, at least by all appearances, the NFL is trying to stop everybody from doing.
Right, and here's the other thing too, Dave, is you hear, okay, Beckham's double teamed. He's double teamed, he's double teamed, he's double teamed because he's Odell. All right. Find me a great receiver over the years who wasn't able to beat the double team, who didn't get passes thrown to him while he was being double teamed. That's why they're great, because they can beat double teams. They can catch the ball when two guys are on. And when you go back to that now infamous fourth down play in Denver, it was straight man. There was no safety help there. That's a man-on-man situation.
And if you see that, throw it up. He'll find a way. Yeah, I think he's proven pretty conclusively he'll find a way to get it if it's humanly possible.
Exactly.
Baker-Mayfield was asked about just the whole 2019 offense and the lack of production and getting Odell Beckham more involved.
We have to take what they're giving us. I think teams have done a pretty good job for the most part of taking away our deep shots. They're trying to make us play patient, and I think that's a good game plan for these guys coming in. They know we have a bunch of playmakers who are going to, eliminate the big plays and try and make us play patient for 4 quarters. Yeah, we'd like that, but right now we have to take the short stuff until they're really giving us those shots.
From a statistical standpoint, everyone's analyzing that right now. Now that we're at the half point of the season, the numbers are significantly off from what they were last year, red zone production. Have you been able to just come up with an explanation, if anything, for yourself of what's really different for you?
Those are that much smaller. Guys close in because they don't have as much space to cover. It's just that much more critical for me to be on time, to have my feet in the right place, to have my eyes eliminating quick, and for our guys to be at the right depth and to move through those progressions. And like I said about the shot plays, teams are going to, play a little bit more conservative in the red zone against us, try and hold us to field goals. So taking the plays that are there, I think is something that I can absolutely improve on going forward, and just, we have to be more precise.
Do you feel you were more last week? Odell was really supportive of this, and he was going to tell them eventually this is all going to come together for you guys. But he also said it's time to turn it around between the two of you. A, what does that mean to you when you get your back like that? And then 2, what is preventing you guys from putting it together the way I think we all thought it was going to be the case?
No, obviously whenever he says stuff like that, that's great to hear. To have, the support of your teammates is something you always want to have. But to hear it come from that, genuine aspect from him means a lot. And I think, people had this picture-perfect thing that it was going to be sunshine and rainbows, and he was going to have a whole lot of one-on-ones. It's Odell Beckham. He's going to have double coverage. We have to find ways to format things to get him the ball and force feed him early on to where he can make an impact before we can, have the perfect look to give him a shot play. And I think that's something that we learned the hard way. But, I think as the weeks have gone on, we're continuing to improve on how to get the ball to him.
Well, I cringed a little bit, Dave, the force feeding. I don't want to hear that. Find me the last time that a team reached great heights by force-feeding a wide receiver. Even Jerry Rice, the greatest of all time, you didn't force-feed Jerry Rice, but by the end of the game, he was creating winning plays for you. He was such a great team player. I worry when an offense says we've got to force-feed somebody. Even as talented as Beckham is, and we just got done saying he needs to see more in the red zone. But you start thinking, I got to force-feed him, especially when the field's compressed, and what's that going to lead to?
Oh, yeah.
Batted balls, picks.
Yep.
So that makes me a little nervous when Beckham says that.
They got to design.
When Mayfield says that.
They have to design plays that showcase him and allow him to defeat it. That's what it is. Force feeding. I agree with you. I really don't want to hear that. We got to tell you about Northeast Factory Direct. No gimmicks or no crazy deceiving blowout sales or typical retail nonsense. The bottom line is nobody's going to touch their everyday savings or quality. If you want nice big ticket items to improve your home and you want to pay half what most people pay, you can go to Northeast Factory Direct. West 140th in Cleveland, in the old B&B Appliance on Lakeland Boulevard and Euclid Freeway Drive. In Macedonia, check out everything on northeastfactorydirect.com. Sokolowski's University Inn, Cleveland's oldest family-owned restaurant, located in Tremont, established back in 1923. They've won James Beard Awards as one of the top family-owned restaurants in the country. Really good food. D-Man's eaten there. Les is eaten there. Bud is eaten there. Everybody who's eaten there loves it. Sokolowski's University Inn, located in Tremont, Cleveland's oldest family-owned restaurant. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. The D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff, and I will be back on the other side of break. It's More Sports and Les-Levine. Dave Bacon sitting in for Les Levine.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then, watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
Well, take a look at this. As the ESPN has graded the rookie head coaches, 3 categories: exceeding expectations, Matt LaFleur; meeting expectations. I want to know, how does Brian Flores with 1 win meeting Are we grading on the
expectations were that big, were about the size of a
the expectation bell curve was really pretty steep there, and then below expectations, Zach Taylor, Freddie-Kitchens, Adam Gase, Bruce Arians. If you're in an expectations thing with new head coaches, Zach Taylor and Adam Gase, not the neighborhood you want to be in this year with the NFL. So there you have it. Kind of interesting. Any thought on that?
Well, Arians sticking with Winston. I'm sure they thought he could fix Winston, but I don't know. It just seems like losing follows Jameis Winston in the NFL. Gase just, I mean.
Yeah, I know.
The body language, the verbiage, everything screams lost, confused.
And you're in New York.
A disaster of epic proportions. He makes Pat Shurmur look like a great coach across the hallway. Kitchens has definitely been below expectations because of all the expectations of this team going in. Even though you knew that Freddie was going to be a first-year head coach calling the plays, you still have to hold it against him that he's 2-6 because of all the hype and all the talent, as we said, on paper. And by the way, Dave, I'm at a point now in the season where I really don't care that he's a first-year NFL head coach. You've had a You've had a half season to work out the kinks. You should know by now how to conduct yourself on an NFL sideline.
Got to figure it out. Our Facebook question, what is your updated, at the halfway point, your revised record for the Browns?
Oh, no, here we go.
And here we go. Greg Mees says 8-8. Doesn't look good right now, but by the end of the season, everybody will be singing a different song.
Yeah, but
that's
you're not singing much of a different song.
That's optimistic, though. Unfortunately, Joseph William Rettmeyer, 4-12 or 11-5 at best. The Fork and Kitchens will be either lost to Bengals or Dolphins. Lack of discipline, have to execute better for 8+ weeks. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Lawrence Butler, look at this. Called 5 wins at the beginning. That's looking better and better as we go along. Rick May, 5-11, a case of too many press clippings being read by too many players. Andy Mees, 5-11. I have the remaining games against the tanking Dolphins and 2 against the hapless Bengals. Those are hopefully the 3 remaining wins. They go 4-4 for a record of 6-10, says Matt Stickle. Or Melvin Stickle, I'm sorry. D-Man, final thought on this one. We're running out of time here.
I mean, I want to be positive. I'm thinking the Browns are going to beat the Bills. I would say they're going to be either 8-8 or 9-7, which is very positive. I'm thinking very positive about the end of the season. I think they can get hot. I still believe, and again, this is to my detriment, I still believe the team that went into Baltimore and beat the Ravens is in there somewhere. And why can't it come out against some of these lesser lights? Now, the Bills are not necessarily a lesser light, but I think they can beat them.
Okay, I'm told we're going to take a quick timeout. And then when we return, we will have our final thoughts coming up. More sports and less. Levine, Dave Bacon sitting in for Les. And the D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff. One more time, we're going to go away. We'll come back and wrap this up.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at nick-chubb.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohio-lottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Paul Hoynes, Indians beat reporter from cleveland.com, will join us in studio. Want to also remind you that facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content posted each and every day, including we will have a Facebook question of the day. Then there's the voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. Call anytime, leave a message. We'll use the best messages in a future show. D-Man, now the final thought. What do you, if you're looking at the Browns, what do they need to do to beat the Bills? What's going to be the key?
First of all, I can't believe I said 8-8 or 9-7. 9-7 means they're gonna win 7 out of their last 8 games. So I guess I really am a victim of the orange and brown Kool-Aid. What must you do to beat the Bills? The standard: keep the penalties down, limit the turnovers. But obviously Mayfield has to play confidently, spread the ball around. Don't try to force feed. Let OBJ get his touches in the natural course of the game. Don't try to overuse Hunt, but control the clock. And you know what Mayfield says, take what the defense gives you. If you have to dink and dunk, you dink and dunk. But don't force things.
The other thing is Hunt and Chubb should set up lots of play action if you use them correctly.
You would think. Yeah.
If you use them correctly. That's going to do it for us, as always. Great job, D-Man. And we will see you again tomorrow night. Paul Hoynes in studio. Have a great night, everyone.